Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today I will be setting myself the challenge to beat Mahaveer Raghunathan's qualifying time from Bahrain. I'm doing this because recently I've been watching some of the old Formula 2 races from last year because, well, there's not much happening this year. And, well, his qualifying or race performance hasn't been particularly strong. And thankfully for him, at my best track, he didn't race. He had a race ban in Austria. So we'll be going to Bahrain and I will be seeing if I can beat his qualifying time in time trial mode, just to see how easy or hard it is in the F1 game. Of course, the F1 game, not a perfect simulation of real life Formula 2, and I will be using medium traction control just because I'm not the greatest at this game. But anyway, let's see what we can do, see if we can beat his time. So what's the target? The target is to do a full lap of Bahrain in 1 minute 43 seconds .343. So let's get out on track and see if we can do it. Okay, that's a great start. So I'm not exactly sure what the exact format of this video is. Obviously, I'll be basically doing hot laps of Bahrain. I may get some setups later down on the line, which is not something I even do for career mode 99% of the time. But anyway, let's just see how this goes. I will also mention that when I was recording this, I hadn't played the game or driven the Formula 2 cars in quite a while, so these first laps will not be anything special by any stretch of the imagination, but as we move on towards the end of the video, I will be able to put in some pretty solid laps that will look a lot cleaner than this one. As you can see, it is really just not coming together already, not even close to the racing line through some of these corners. So yeah, there is plenty of room for improvement, but this would be a benchmark just to see the sort of range that I will need to be in to beat Mahaveer Raghunathan's time. So yeah, you can just see this middle sector has been absolutely awful, the first sector as well, but not horrible through there, but still plenty of room for improvement. And yeah, this lap yeah, probably won't cut it, but like I just said, it will give us a range, I guess, or the sort of region where we are and how much we need to improve. And who knows, we may even focus on some other times. If we can beat Mahaveer Raghunathan's time pretty easily, we'll focus on some of the drivers further up the grid. So we'll see what we can do on this first lap as we head towards the final corner, and now braking and actually very close to cutting that corner, which is something that happened a few times. I'll cut out all the failed attempts because you don't need to see those, but or most of them at least. But we set the time, our first benchmark time. It is a 44.809, so just under a second and a half off of Raghunathan's time. So plenty of room to, plenty of time to find there, I should say. So already we can find a lot of that time just in driving. Like I just said, haven't played this game for a while, so it yeah. A lot of that time will come in I'll be able to make up a lot of that time through driving, and as you can see already, green in the top right in the first sector. So yeah, finding time already as we're still making a few mistakes, but yeah, we'll just keep chipping away at it and see what we can do. Then once I seem to reach a maximum, if I don't think I can get any more out of the car, I'll start looking at some setups. But this lap is coming together a little bit better, but actually, as I say that, we are red, but hopefully we'll be able to go green. We made a bit of a mistake in this corner last time, so as we go into this left-hander, getting through there much nicer this time, and we are green in the top right. So that is what we need to see, as had to pause it and go and do something there, but these things happen. But as we continue on this lap now, running a little bit wide, lucky again not to get a track limits warning there. The strict corner cutting rules seem to apply in time trial mode, which of course only makes sense, so that is a good thing for that. But as we now head around the final corner, a little bit of a fishtail, that's going to cost us some time. So you can see there's still more room for improvement, but we are going to improve on
That last lap was a 1 minute 44.6.
our initial time. It's only a 44.6, 1.314 seconds off of Raghunathan's time, so it's only a small improvement, but as I was saying, still plenty of time to find just in my own driving, and hopefully this time on our third attempt we should be able to get this lap in cleanly, and hopefully set a reasonable time, and let's just hope that we don't take too long just to beat Raghunathan, otherwise that would be a little bit sad. And you might also notice that we are driving the MP Motorsports car that Raghunathan drove throughout the season, although I believe this specific one has Jordan King's number on it. But anyway, nonetheless, we continue on our lap, and already you can just sort of see the driving from the first lap to this one is already getting a lot more smooth, but a bit of a mistake under brakes there, just trying to push too hard, and how that is not extending track limits I do not know, but we definitely dodged a bullet there, but hopefully that didn't cost us too much time. I assume if we gained time it would have given us a track limits warning, or it would have taken the lap away, but none of that, so thank you for that one, Codemasters, and we'll continue on our lap, and another 2 green sectors, so obviously we didn't lose too much time in that mid sector, but I think honestly we gained a lot of that in the first couple of corners of that middle sector, but anyway, now heading towards the line, let's see what our next time is.
Okay, the time last lap was a 1:42.6.
42.6, geez, we improved that by a lot. So we smashed Raghunathan's time by 7/10. So we need a new target now, and at this point I decided to download a setup. This one I'm using is from Granda P, is the name, but we'll look back at the qualifying results from Bahrain and pick a new target, and based on time we did, the next highest up the list is Callum Ilott in 18th with a 1:42.28. So we need to find 3.5 tenths roughly to catch Callum Ilott's time. So hopefully we'll be able to do that with a race or with a time trial setup. So we'll see what we can do. I tried various different setups throughout all of this. Some were definitely better than others. Some I literally couldn't even set a lap on, they were just undrivable. But obviously they work for some people, but certainly not for me, some of them. But this particular one worked quite well as some other ones I tried. In the future I will show off the ones that I did like. But anyway, as we continue on through our lap, getting through all these middle sector corners quite nicely actually, and this is I would say, due to the setup, being able to handle these corners pretty well. And as we head on to the straight, we are already green in the top right, so hopefully we'll be able to bring this lap home. We don't need a big improvement, so hopefully what we've done will be enough, as we almost get a track limits warning surely on the left there. That must have been right on the limits, as we sort of cut that switch between the left and right there. But a green middle sector, so finding some very good improvement. And as we now head towards the final corner, braking now, or the final 2 corners I should say, and I got a lot of track limits warnings here too, just cutting that corner too much, but we open the DRS and cross the line, and we do improve our time, and it is a 1 minute 42.239, so half a tenth or just under ahead of Callum Ilott. So we get another new setup. This one is from Devi R11. So thank you for the setup. Hopefully that will allow us to improve our time. I do like that you can just download anyone's setups. But we look at the timesheet once again from qualifying to see our next target. It is 17th place Guan Yu Zhou with a 1 minute 42.123. So only about a tenth to find to his time, so it shouldn't be too much of a struggle. as we continue to try to improve. You notice we swapped to the Ardennes car just for a bit of a switch, and yeah, we're already improving on our time in the top right corner, but there is a ghost in front of us, so hopefully we can beat them. But as we head on through this lap, getting through turn 4 pretty cleanly, and maybe I'll start commentating these laps soon because I'm sort of running out of things to say. But yeah, we're finding some pretty good improvement with this setup. It feels very stable, and that very sort of confidence inspiring, which is very important with the Formula 2 cars because they are very twitchy on the traction, especially out of low speed corners, turn 1 and turn 10, and the final quarter to a smaller extent are very tricky on traction, and I imagine almost every corner would be if I was brave enough to turn traction control off in these cars. But maybe that will be something for the future to see if I can do that. I know obviously it is faster to race without the traction control on if you can master it, so it is something I want to do, but it might not happen for a while. We'll see. Maybe that can be a video one day, learning how to drive without traction control. But anyways, we ramble on about all of that. We've almost finished our lap, and we are going to improve on our best. We beat the rival time, so that is what we want. A 1 minute 41.853, 0.27 seconds ahead of Guan Yu Zhou. But yeah, we get into another setup from legendary Mousy, and we go again, set ourselves a new target from the timesheets. This time we'll go for the 13th place. Nikita Mazepin is the next time for us to aim for, so let's see if we can do that. It's a 41.8 that we're aiming for, and again we've switched cars, this time to the Trident. Good to be back in the Trident. I haven't driven one since the start of career mode, so it's good to be back in the brightly coloured team. But anyway, we go on our lap and get underway once again, and again this setup seems very stable and very quick, so hopefully that will help us out. I definitely did notice some differences between the setups. Some of them were definitely better on the straights, some of them were better through the corners, but all of the ones I really liked felt very stable, and it didn't particularly matter where the speed was made. People still find a way to somehow make the cars feel a lot better than they do with no setup, even the ones that were fast on the straights. So people working some magic there with the suspension. I wish I understood how to do that. But anyway, as I'm saying all of that, we've gone around 3/4 of the lap, 2 green sectors, so finding some decent improvements. And again, a lot of this is due to the setup, but also a lot of it is just down to driving and getting more and more used to the way these Formula 2 cars drive. But as we head through the last corner now, heading along the main straight for the final time, or the only time, it's a one lap thing. But we again do 3 green sectors and improve on our time. It's a 141.499, and we gain 3.5 tenths, or we move 3.5 tenths ahead of Nikita Mazepin. But we get another new setup from Wizardly Rat. I figure the higher up someone is on the leaderboard, the better their setup probably is, so that's why I keep swapping and changing. But we're still finding massive improvements, like gaining tenths of seconds each time. But we have another 2 tenths to gain as we move into the Campos car if we want to beat Sergio Sette Camera, who is the next car up the road, as I get distracted there. But heading through the first few corners, I feel like I gained a lot of time through those corners over all of this practice, and turn 4 also, but a little bit shallow into turn 4 on that occasion, but not too bad. And through these corners, a little bit tricky sometimes to get the line right, but not too bad on this occasion. not quite using all the road there, using a lot of road on the entry, getting the car turned in there, and on the exit pretty nicely. And now around to the very tricky turn 10, and a little bit of cut there, but not too much. That curb, you can get away with running over it pretty much with the whole car, so there's definitely some time if you do that right. But now heading into this left-hander. I had a lot of trouble with this. It's a simple enough corner, and generally in the F1 cars I don't have any trouble at all, but in the Formula 2 cars, that left-hander causing all sorts of issues. And also that curve on the inside of the following right-hander, that's track limits, but we get away with it. Yeah, the inside curve on that right-hander, you don't want to touch that ever. And through the final corner now, and alright, so here we go again. Try to replicate that lap because we were on a pretty good one, but unfortunately it went wrong for us at the final corner. Not the first time, but that was a particularly frustrating one because at this point I wasn't improving on every single lap. It took me a lot of attempts each time. This video might be about 20 minutes long or something by the time I edit it down, but I was doing this for well over an hour, just doing laps and laps and laps. And there were a few setups that I didn't end up putting in the video that I didn't like. But anyway, we continue on our lap, and this will potentially be the last one if we get it together. The first sector looks very good, and we are green, so that is the signs we need to see. Now through the middle sector, getting that combination of corners pretty good. Now into this right hand, and missed the apex there a little bit, but hopefully that hasn't cost us too much time as we head towards the tricky turn 9 and 10 as we break into these corners. A lot of curb there, and that's more like the amount I think you should be taking. And DRS open towards turn 11 and 12. This again a tricky combination of corners. Missed the apex of 11 slightly, but I think we should just about get away with it. It's probably not the most important apex on the track, reasonably close to the apex of turn 12. Don't want to risk too much on that corner as we've got a pretty good lap together so far, 2 green sectors, so we are finding the improvement we need to hopefully move ourselves further up on the real life grid. Now into the final corner, or final 2 corners. I'm going to keep making that mistake for the rest of my life. DRS open towards the line. Let's see what time we can achieve. We beat the rival that we set, and the time that we set is a 1 minute 40.907, 4/10 ahead of Sergio Sette Camera. And if we have a look at the real life qualifying, we find ourselves in 4th position, so that is that's enough for me for today. Here is a off-board replay of our best lap. I may try to do another one of these videos in the future if by some miracle this one ends up being popular, but for now, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.